What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about how you can utilize what we learned in the last episode. And if you haven't listened to it, check it out. It's about what we are really selling, and that is labor to the marketplace. That's what separates us from the competition. That's what makes us different. And that's what allows us to be incomparable on paper. And that is what will allow people to move forward with us. And also, when you cannot be compared on paper, that means you cannot be compared in terms of numbers, and we want to avoid that completely. We don't want apples to apple comparisons, and that's what this is about. So I'm going to give you some insights, some tips, and some ideas on how you can implement what we learned in that last episode in your sales process today. So super important episode. Check it out. Thank you guys for listening and enjoy. The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets Podcast. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. I want to piggyback off of the last episode. And if you haven't listened to the last episode that I did, it was what are you really selling? And if you haven't listened to it, pause this, go back, listen to it, because I'm going to really kind of just hit on a lot of the things that I discussed in that episode. It's such a deep topic, and I've been really passionate about it these last few weeks, because I think when we narrow down what it is that we're selling, we come from a different standpoint, okay? And I think that the idea that we are selling labor to the marketplace speaks volumes about where you should focus when you're trying to get better at sales. So I want to kind of paint a picture for you real quick, and essentially, picture two businesses coming in to give a quote on a job. And, business A comes in and says all the stuff that we normally say. A lot of us talk more about the products and the materials that we use rather than the people and the processes. Okay, so let's just go with painters. Painter A is talking about how great duration is and how long lasting it's going to be, and like all these things about the product. Okay, when the product can be compared on paper. Okay, and I've always been big about this, is about if you're trying to separate yourself, obviously in the eyes of the marketplace, a painter is a painter in most cases. Okay, a painter is a painter, a painting company is a painting company, a roofing company is a roofing company. And the roofing company can talk about their shingles, and the different shingle types and this, that, and the other, which can be compared side by side. But the company that comes in and sells the intangibles is the company that's going to get the leg up. And when we're talking about buying and selling labor, we're talking about intangibility. We're talking about our hiring process. We're talking about the people that make up our teams. We're talking about the processes and the way that they conduct themselves. We're talking about the level of care. All that stuff cannot be measured on paper. It can be felt in a conversation. And the right customer is going to resonate with that. The right customer is going to say that's worth paying more money, or the right customer is going to say that's worth going with that company when I look at the two companies on paper. And the reason why this is so important is because, again, what I'm saying is that when we go into an estimate, majority of the time, we're spending more of our time selling products and materials. That is essentially what the other guy's going to come in and sell, products and materials. But if you spend your time hitting on the products and materials, obviously leveling the playing field in that regard, spending majority of your time instead focusing on the hiring process you have, how you acquired your team, how you started your company, how you acquired your team, what processes you have in place, who's going to be at the house. I name drop a lot. One way that I come across whenever I am doing a walkthrough, I say, one thing that our project manager, Shamel, is really, really adamant about is making sure that these lines are perfect. He's really, really adamant about taping, caulking, and peeling every line around the house to make sure that it's flawless. It's one of his high standards. And that's why I believe in him so much as a project manager. Wow, just right there, I made it personal as opposed to, yeah, we use, duration. It's a great product. It's going to last a long time on the walls. It'll take us 3 days to do the job. And I'm obviously, suppressing that other example. And yeah, some guys will say, yeah, we'll come in and kind of give an idea what their processes is, but they're not making it personal. And when I make it personal right there, hopefully you kind of caught that in what I said. When I made it personal, it became personal. And when it's personal, that's when an obligation occurs to do business with that company. The more you make it personal, it's kind of like buying from a friend. And there's a lot of unknowns in contracting when you think about it from the customer standpoint. I think one of my biggest strengths is that I sell from a position of understanding the buyer. And whenever you understand the buyer and the process of which that the buyer goes through, and not only just the actions that they take to get to you, but the thoughts that they have during the process, partly because I'm a homeowner and I deal with this with other contractors, but more so my experience with sales in general has given me a little bit more insight than the average on buying decisions and what it takes for people to say yes, because patterns show up and I really try to focus on those patterns. I really try to see what is it that made that person say yes. And then I listen for feedback. I ask, really, what is it that pushed you to go with us? And people say, you know what, honestly, you came across very trustworthy and I had a good feeling that you were going to fulfill your promises. And you also were very descriptive in how the process works, and really that's why the questions that you ask are so important, because you can really emphasize a lot of this stuff when what, number one, what the why is. Okay, so obviously the right customer is the one that you want to be selling and focusing on this to. Like, let me give you an example. If you ask the why question, you guys know that's my question number one. You should be asking this to every single customer. What's the story? Why are we here? If the person says, yeah, I'm just flipping this house, are you going to start talking about Shamel and how adamant Shamel is about putting lines on, the straight lines on all the trim work and the doors? Of course not. He doesn't care. He sees this as an investment, a profit. Now, if you're with a customer who says, yeah, this is my forever home, it's been 10 years since we painted, I raised my kids in this house, that's when we bring out the personal experience that they're going to get with us. That's when we bring out the just the commitment to excellence. That's when we put out the labor and why we're different and the things that we do to ensure a phenomenal experience. So that question right there is going to give you the confidence so you're not selling in the wrong direction. And that happens a lot. I mean, I've done it where, I would just forget to ask my own question early on, and I would be going off on a tangent about our processes and our systems and our hiring and all this stuff. They're like, yeah, we're getting ready to move. So, I mean, yeah, if you could just give us a number, that'd be great. And I'd be like, oh my God, and that really cemented that the questions that you ask are so important. So, asking you a rhetorical question now, what if you ask your customer, what was your last experience like when you hired a painting company? And they say, oh, honestly, they didn't show up on time, or they didn't do this right and they didn't do this right. So what am I going to do? I'm literally going to narrow down focus on everything that they did not like. And I'm going to tell them how we have systems, processes, and standards to ensure that that doesn't occur. I'm their insurance policy so they don't get hurt again. No one wants to get hurt again, actually. That's kind of why there's so much apprehension in sales in general. Somebody's gotten taken advantage of. Somebody paid more than what they got in return. Somebody had dealt with a contractor or heard of a horror story. So us as contractors, we have to pretty much work double time to overcompensate for the lack of trust in this industry. And part of the way we do that is to try to give them an experience in their mind, because as humans, we can visualize things before they actually get the experience. So being as descriptive as possible. Now, I'm very forward, and I do that because in some cases I understand that there's some people that'll just write me off, but there's other people that need to be educated. And it's kind of like let me give you an example. Like, it's kind of like somebody sitting down in the classroom and you're the teacher and then they want to get up to leave. So that's kind of like when we make a follow-up call and I can tell that they're like anxious about that follow-up call and they want to get off the phone. And I just said, well, hold on a second. Before you go, can I just explain to you, just a little bit about what our process is going to be? And then when you kind of just level it out like that and they give you an opportunity to explain, that's when you can really, build a relationship with somebody. So this can be done in person, over the phone. It's just a matter of you setting the stage per se for that, I would say, emphasis on processes, systems, and standards, and then laying it out in a way that allows you to be incomparable on paper. So this is a quick one today, but I really wanted to hit on some of the points from the last episode and piggyback on that so you can implement it today. So I hope you got something out of this. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate every one of you for spending time listening to these podcasts. It makes me more motivated to put out awesome content on here, exclusive to here. I don't put this out anywhere else. So very thankful for you. If you would like, I would really love to connect with you one-on-one, a free coaching session. This is what I've been doing lately with the business breakthroughs. Hopefully you've been enjoying the ones that I've been putting out on here. If you would like to be a part of one, I'll feature you on the podcast. And believe it or not, you're going to help a lot of people because all of us in some crazy way experience the same thing. And I think that the more we do these breakthroughs, the more we're going to hammer out every single issue that could possibly occur. And honestly, my vision and my goal would be for all of us to level up together. And I would say that 80% of the people that follow me, that really interact with me, that ask me questions, like, you guys are phenomenal. I would say that 80% of you are like all in the same boat in terms of really just trying to get to a position where your business is running itself. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens. And there's a lot of hardship along the way. There's a lot of firing that occurs. There's a lot of hiring that occurs. There's a lot of sales that need to occur. There's a lot of trial and error. There's money wasted. It's a lot. But when you get that flow going, when marketing's coming in and sales are being sold and jobs are being produced, it's like the best thing in the world. And on the other side of it, when none of that's happening, it could be the worst thing. So continue to connect with me. If you're experiencing a hardship in your business, I'd love to hear about it and work through it with you. It could just be one idea that you may need to get to the next level. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you on the next episode. Hey, I just want to take a second to thank you for joining me here on the Contractor Secrets podcast. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that my passion is coaching people, helping people. I've changed my Instagram name to @contractorcoach, and I did that because that is my passion. I want to help you. So please reach out to me. If you have an issue going on in your business, send me an email. Find me on Instagram, message me, and let's do a breakthrough session. I want to work through your problems in your business to help you get to that next level. And one thing that I always say is this, the difference between those that get over the humps and the hurdles in business is just a change in perspective. And that's what I plan to offer you. So get with me, message me, allow me to help you take your business to the next level.